You don't become successful overnight. You don't wake up one day with energy, focus, and discipline out of nowhere. You'll become that person slowly, almost invisibly, through what you repeat. Right now, your habits are either building your dream life or slowly destroying it. What if I told you that everything, your success, your confidence, even your identity, is being shaped by the things you do without thinking? And in this video, you're going to learn how small habits quietly control your entire life and how to win, and that motivation isn't enough, and that one strategy that rewires who you are permanently. And if you miss any part of this, you'll stay stuck in the same cycle, doing the same things,
expecting change that never comes.
but if you stay till the end, you won't see habits the same way ever again. First, what are habits, really? Hello everyone, it's Omar Zak and welcome to another video. We tend to think about habits as just what we do, brushing our teeth, scrolling on our phones, eating junk food, or checking your phone the moment you wake up. But habits are so much more than that. They're actually the invisible architecture of your life. According to researchers at Duke University, up to 45% of our daily actions are not conscious decisions. They're habits. That means that nearly half your day is driven by patterns you probably didn't intentionally create. This is great when the habit is helpful, like drinking water in the morning, but it's a huge problem when the habit is harmful, like doom scrolling the second you feel bored or stressed. Because here's the truth. Habits are not just what you do, they are who you are becoming. Every repeated action acts as a vote for the type of person you're becoming. That means that your identity is not built by one big decision, but is shaped by thousands of small repeated choices. For example, it's not I want to be productive, but I choose to start my day without distractions. And this is considered a vote. Over time, these microscopic shifts become your default, and your default becomes your destiny. One proof that tiny habits shape greatness. Let me give you an example.
Get better every single day. And if I lived that way, then over time, I'd have something that was beautiful. But that was my philosophy. It seems like a pretty simple one, but if you live your life to just get better every single day, and do that for 20 years, what do you have?
Let's talk about Kobe Bryant. Not just a basketball legend, but a master of daily discipline. Kobe broke his day into tiny habits. He would shoot hundreds of free throws before sunrise, not because he had to, but because it was his identity. Those early mornings, those extra reps, they weren't big or even noticeable hard training. They were just micro decisions, but it was repeated daily that made him the legend we know. The same principle applies to waking up earlier, journaling, reading, or building a business. Kobe wasn't great because he just played good at the game, but because the tiny habits that he built and was consistent at before the game. Second, the habit loop. But to actually change your habits, you need to understand how they work under the hood. Enter the habit loop, a psychological pattern that runs nearly every automatic habit that you have. And let's break it down together. Charles Duhigg, author of The Power of Habit, describes the habit loop like this. First, the cue, which triggers your brain to initiate the behavior. Second, the routine, which is the behavior itself. Third, the reward, which is the thing that satisfies your brain and teaches it to do it again. Let's give you two examples. First, the cue, which feeling stressed. Second, you do the routine, which is scrolling TikTok. And lastly, you get the reward, which is a momentary escape. The second example is, first, you get the cue, which is feeling stressed after finishing the work. So you do the routine of going for a walk. And lastly, you feel energetic and just clear-minded. Think about it like this. Every habit is your brain trying to solve a problem. Most people try to fix their habits using willpower alone, but willpower is like a muscle. It just gets tired. And if you keep relying on willpower, you will eventually break. But if you change the cue or the reward, the routine starts to shift naturally. Here is your challenge. Identify just one habit loop in your life today that you want to stop. What's the cue? What's the routine? And what's the reward? Once you see the loop, you can start to change it. Technique number 1, the 2-minute rule. Okay, let's be real. Most people fail to build good habits because they try to go too big, too fast. I will hit the gym every morning at 5 a.m. I will write a novel in a month. But it feels like you failed. But the truth is, your system was too heavy to sustain. And that's where the 2-minute rule comes in. And it's simple. Any habit should take less than 2 minutes to start. That means if you want to start reading more, your goal isn't to read for an hour, but it's just to open the book and read one single page. Your brain hates change. When you start small, you avoid resistance. And once you start it, even with something tiny, you're more likely to keep going. Small wins leads to big change. Let's say you want to work out more. Instead of planning an intense 45 minutes routine, try this instead. Step number 1. Put on your gym shoes. Step number 2, do 5 push-ups or just stretch for 2 minutes. And congratulations, that's it. Most of the time, once you're in motion, you will keep going. But even if you don't, you still build the identity of someone who shows up. You're not trying to be perfect, but you're trying to be consistent. Technique number 2, identity-based habits. Most people think changing your life starts by setting huge goals. I want to make more money. But as we said before, goals doesn't stick until your identity shifts first. Instead of focusing on what you want to achieve, focus on who you want to become. And one of the most powerful real-life examples of identity-based habits comes from Japanese culture. Japanese is known for cleanliness, discipline, and attention to details. Well, these are not just rules or even goals, they are ingrained identities. Like, people don't clean because they are told to, but they are clean because they see themselves as part of a community that values order and respect. From a young age, Japanese students clean their schools daily, not as a punishment, but as a routine. And it teaches responsibility and self-discipline. The message isn't, be clean, we told you to, but it is, we are the kind of people who take care of shared spaces. That's an identity, and it sticks. And trust me, it absolutely changes everything. And the same goes for you. When your actions are aligned with your identity, it doesn't feel like willpower anymore. It feels like integrity. You're no longer forcing yourself, you're just being you. And that's why most people fail at change, because they focus on what they want to do, not who they need to become. So write down one identity you want to become. Not a goal, an identity. I'm someone who respects my time. I'm a reader. I'm building the life I want, one habit at a time. Technique number 3 is environment design. You have probably heard the quote, you are the average of the 5 people you spend time with. But here's something even deeper. You are the product of the spaces that you live in. You like to think that change comes from motivation or willpower. More often, it's just a smart design. If you leave chips on the table, you will eat them. And if you leave a book under your pillow, you will read it. If your phone is the first thing you see in the morning, you will scroll. First, make good habits obvious. Put your journal next to your coffee mug. Lay out your gym clothes the night before. Always keep water on your desk, because what's visible gets done and what's hidden gets ignored. And then make bad habits invisible. Put your phone in another room while you work. Delete social apps off your home screen. You don't need to be stronger, you just need to be smarter. Thirdly, create habit zones. A space labeled work, another rests, another read. Use one spot just for reading. And don't blur everything into your bed or couch, because when your brain associates space with purpose, it gets easier to show up. And lastly, design for your future. Put affirmations or reminders on your mirror. Keep your space clean, not just for aesthetic, but also for clarity. Use lightning, sound, and even smell to trigger different modes like focus versus rest. So if you want to focus more, move your desk away from the TV and redesign your space. Segment number 6, keystone habits. Ever feel like you know what habits you should build, but you just can't seem to fit them in? Like you want to meditate, journal, or walk more, but your day already feels full and busy. So here's the fix. Don't start from scratch. What do I mean by this? I mean attach habits to something you already do, which is called habit stacking. Habit stacking is a technique that helps you build consistency by stacking a new habit on top of an existing one. Like, for example, after brushing my teeth, I will say one thing I'm grateful for. Or after I pour my coffee, I will open my journal and write one sentence. When you use a habit that you already do as an anchor, you reduce resistance because you're not starting a new routine. You're just extending an old one. And here is the bonus strategy that I've been telling you about. You can use this technique by writing the following sentence. After existing habit, I will, and write down the new habit. That should not take more than 2 minutes. Start tiny and make it stupid easy. You don't need more time. You just need better flow. Stack your wins, stack your identity, stack your future. And with number 7, the power of tracking and visual progress. Here is the secret. You don't need motivation to keep going. All you need is just an evidence that you are making progress. And this is where most people fall off. They start strong, but because they don't see progress, they quit. And that's why you need to track it. Tracking gives you a visual cue. It proves to your brain that what you're doing actually matters. It turns invisible wins to something that you can actually see. Actually, Jerry Seinfeld, one of the most popular comedians ever, used this simple method to become one of the most consistent comedians ever. He had one goal, which is to write jokes every day. And each time he did, he marked X on his calendar. And after a few days, he had a chain. Then the only rule was to not break the chain. And before we wrap everything up for you, there's 2 important points that you need to know before the end of the video. The first point is to avoid perfectionism. It's okay to miss a day, just don't miss 2 days. One slip doesn't erase your progress, but quitting does. And the second is write yourself a future letter. And it only takes 5 minutes. Sit down and write a letter to yourself from 90 days in the future. Like, hey, it's me. You won't believe how far we have come. Here's what we have done. Here's how we feel. And here's what I'm proud of you for finally sticking with. This isn't about fantasy, but it's about building belief. You start acting like the person you believe you can become, because now they are actually real. And to take this knowledge even further and fully unlock your potential, I highly recommend checking out 2 life-changing books: Atomic Habits by James Clear and The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. These books will give you the strategies and mindset you need to make lasting changes. So to wrap everything up for you in very small words that will be always in your mind, to start having good habits and leaving bad ones, make it visible, make it small, make it stackable, and start today. And if you've made it this far, you know that it's not just a video. It's a mirror, a reminder, a moment to pause and decide, what kind of life am I building? These ideas don't work just because they are interesting, but they work because you do. And if this video gave you even one spark, one idea, or one shift, hit that like button down below, because it helps more people to discover it. And if you're ready to keep leveling up, mentally, emotionally, intentionally, subscribe to the channel. Every week we dive deep, no fluff, no hacks, just real change. Remember that you become what you repeat, so repeat wisely. And I'll see you in the next video.